All right, let's see here. Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Thursday Thoughts at 3. My name is Amanda Bruce. I'm the Interactive Media Director for NPM, and I am pleased to introduce our Executive Director, Jennifer Kluge. Hello, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm doing great, Amanda. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thanks for joining us for our live Q&A. And thank you for, first off, being our first female executive director. I'm so always glad to say that. And thank you, if you're watching, for joining us for our Q&A. Now, just so you know, just as we begin, we want to hear from you. This really is meant to be the opportunity to ask Jennifer questions and ask her about NPM, about the association, about membership, whatever's on your mind. And so we're going to do everything we can to answer your questions today. If they require follow-up, then we will definitely have that follow-up. But just to start, as you form your questions in the chat box on YouTube, I just thought, Jennifer, just in case people are watching and they don't know, just to have a little bit of information about you. So, Jennifer, would you mind giving us a little bit of background about yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm Jennifer Kluge. I'm the Executive Director of NPM. And as Amanda said, I'm the first female Executive Director. So very excited to be coming to you during Women's History Month as the first female ED of this amazing membership organization. I was born and raised on the North Shore of Boston, Massachusetts, and lived there for most of my life. My husband and I relocated to the DC area in 2007, and we have been here ever since. Also very lucky because in addition to the national headquarters of NPM being located in Silver Spring, I also live in Silver Spring. So I have great proximity to our national headquarters.
Excellent. And so you are not necessarily a pastoral musician by professional trade, but not so much by practice. So what is your experience and your everything in terms of pastoral music?
Yeah. So I learned piano at a very young age. My grandmother was my first and actually only piano teacher. And in fact, for our members, when you receive your issue of the April Pastoral Musician, you will actually see a picture of my grandmother and sister and I at the very piano on which I took all of my lessons. So I'm really excited to share that picture with you. But I've also loved to sing my entire life. And anytime I've had the opportunity to be a part of a choir, that's really been my calling and my passion on a personal level. So I sang in a junior high choir through my parish, sang regularly in college, particularly with my Newman Center chorus. And then when we relocated to the Washington, D.C. area and joined a parish, 10 years ago now, I joined the adult choir at our church and have sung with them regularly, sung in the annual Messiah concert. And just this past year, I was invited to solo cantor for the first time.
That's great. What made you want to apply for the position of executive director for NPM?
When I was looking for my next opportunity, I definitely wanted to make sure I chose a position that the mission of the organization resonated with me. And while I read the qualities that was desired in this position, I certainly knew that I had the management experience and the fundraising experience to be successful in this role. What I loved about it most of all was that the position combined the personal passion that I have, particularly for the music of our church, and the gifts and talents that I have been given in other areas of my life, and the opportunity to combine those two areas and contribute to a mission in a really profound way was what called me to apply.
This might be a little bit early to ask, but what are some of your goals as executive director for the year?
I would say my first goal is to learn anything and everything about this organization and about the world of liturgical music that I have not yet had the opportunity to learn. Well, I think I know a lot. I also realize there's so much I don't know. And I think keeping that humility and that desire to keep learning is really important. So that's a goal for myself personally within NPM. But for the organization itself, the two primary goals I have is reinvigorating our chapter structure across the country, and also reinvigorating our membership. We have so many wonderful members, and we want more of them to come into the NPM family.
What has surprised you about the job so far?
I think what has surprised, obviously, anybody who works within the church, either as a paid individual or as a volunteer, has a commitment to the church and to ministering to those around us. I think what surprised me is how much I underestimated that commitment. I've been a part of many membership organizations as an individual over the course of my life. And I have never seen anything like the commitment and the passion of our NPM members.
I agree. Although, again, I'm biased, so So as we continue to, if you're just tuning in, welcome. This is a virtual Q&A. We are live right now if you are watching at Thursday Thoughts at 3 Eastern time. So if you have a question for Jennifer, now is the time to put it in the chat box. So feel free to put it in the chat box and I will be your moderator. And Jennifer, I will field those questions to you. We did have a couple of people email us in advance when they found out that you were going to be doing this. Live Thursday Thoughts at 3. And so there are some questions that people asked. If you're okay with it, Jennifer, I thought we would ask them first while people are writing in the chat box.
Let's do it.
Okay, great. So here's the biggie. We'll start with the biggie. So we've had numerous people ask if we're actually going to be in person for the convention in New Orleans. So what's your assessment of the situation right now?
Right now, as of March 4th, I can tell you that our registrations are trending very heavily towards in-person participation. I think particularly as vaccination efforts become more widespread and the increasing desire for us to gather in person again is really driving that response that we've seen. So while that may be subject to change, because of course we need to respond to whatever restrictions the state of Louisiana has in place, as well as whatever restrictions the city of New Orleans has in place, I am anticipating that we will gather in person in New Orleans. And I'm also really excited that we will have a hybrid option as well as an entirely virtual option, so that if people aren't ready to travel yet for whatever reason, that they can still experience the convention from home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so just to clear it up too, of course, we are in the early bird registration stage for the convention.
Yes.
And the deadline for early bird is March 26th. If you're listening and you're interested, the price is the same for virtual or in person. There's a 10% discount for those who are standard memberships and 15% who are premium memberships. So, and that does apply to the early bird pricing. So little spiel there, little plug for the convention. Okay, good. So let's talk also about about membership a little bit. So can you talk a little bit about the parish membership? There was a little bit of confusion in the last couple of weeks about parish membership and what has replaced it in the membership tiers.
Sure. Well, as way background, so some of our listeners may or may not be aware that through December of 2020, NPM actually had 15 different types of membership. And beginning in January, the decision was made far earlier than January, but we rolled it out then. We took those 15 levels of membership and combined them into 3 that really made the most sense and captured the essence of those. One of those 15 membership choices was the parish membership, where there was a key person named, and then there were up to 5 additional individuals and sometimes more also listed on the membership. So we had actually reached out to all parishes with that type of membership and offered every parish to have a complimentary year of naming 5 members to continue at our standard level. And several parishes did take us up on that offer. So going forward, parish memberships would really be our standard level of membership. Most of you would probably have known that as the individual member, and that's actually what I registered as when I first joined NPM as well, was that individual membership, which now we call standard.
Mm-hmm. And if someone is listening and maybe they don't know, can you give a brief rundown of the 3 tiers of membership?
Absolutely. So we have 3 tiers of membership: basic, standard, and premium. Basic membership is $39, and all of your benefits are exclusively online. So you're going to receive our semi-monthly notebook, our weekly Sunday Word, you receive the Cantor newsletter. All of your publications are going to come to you electronically. As a basic member, you're also eligible to serve in any volunteer capacity within the organization, and you're also eligible to apply for programming scholarship as well. So that's all included at the $39 level. Then most of you are probably aware of the standard level of membership. That's $119. You're receiving all of those same benefits at the basic member level. However, you're also receiving access to more of the online resources. And then you're also going to receive our pastoral music publication as well. And that is just, I have found it to be such a treasure trove of information, and it's really, really helpful. Then our premium membership, previously that would have been people who identified as directors of music ministry, perhaps cathedral musicians, or diocesan music ministry type of roles. So that's $169, and that's going to give you even greater access to our online content. And those members also have access to a special annual colloquium as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And if anyone wants to look at that information, and if they're more of a visual person, that is on the website at npm.org. And then you would click the membership tab on the main screen, just so you know. So as we do have one more question that was submitted to us, but if you are on the live stream right now, please feel free to submit any questions. We haven't had any questions just yet, just so you know, Jennifer. At least they haven't been sent in advance. So if you do have any questions for Jennifer, this would be the time to put it in the chat box. And we have one more question that was submitted in advance. And so, Jennifer, can you discuss the role of chapters in the new NPM membership structure?
The best way I have heard chapters described, and I wish I could take credit for this, but I'm borrowing from another person, is that chapters are where the real work of NPM takes place. Because as a de facto member of the DC chapter, when I engage with other pastoral musicians in that chapter, we're talking about our lived daily experience as members of the community. We're talking about what's going on in our parishes, the challenges we're having, what's new on the horizon, and really understanding how our walk is affected together in that particular diocese. And that's why the chapters really are the lifeblood, because then the 70 plus chapters that we have across the country then really bring that information up to a national level and share it with us so that we can make sure as a national organization that we're responding appropriately. But, chapters have their own leadership structures, they have their own programming, and yet at the same time, they're under the umbrella of this national organization. So, we're excited for, we're developing some new ways to support our chapters better, more electronic resources for them. And we're really pleased about that, because we do recognize that all of our chapter leaders are volunteers, and that it's our responsibility as a national organization to support them and make sure that they have the tools and the resources they can do to help us build.
Let's say I'm listening to this and watching the Thursday Thoughts at 3, and I don't necessarily connect with the chapter right now, and I honestly don't know where to start.
Mhm.
Where do I start? How do I find a chapter?
That's great. So actually, if you go to the website, you go to npm.org, and there's actually a link for chapters. And will bring you to a great interactive map, and it will show you pins all across the country of where our existing chapters are. Now, if there's not a chapter in your area, we encourage you to reach out to us, because we would love to have your expertise and talents to help us start a chapter. Our goal is to have one chapter in every diocese across the country. And we particularly want to work on building that presence in the West and in the Southwest.
Great. We do have some questions coming in from those who are watching the live stream, so I thank you for that. The first question comes from Joe, and he says, as we emerge from the pandemic, what do you see as NPM's role in advocating for restoration of pastoral musicians? Many have lost their jobs in the last year with no sign of them ever coming back. So how do you see NPM's role in that advocacy?
Yeah, that's certainly a challenge. And I actually want to take this opportunity to thank so many of our members and friends who donated to our member support fund that was created last fall, because that member support fund allowed NPM to continue membership for those very musicians you mentioned, Joe, who experienced either job loss or job retraction because of COVID-19. I've even seen it with my own church. I mentioned at the beginning of this session that I had the opportunity to cantor for the first time. I only have that opportunity because our choir isn't singing together, and so that's just one small shift that's happened that I saw personally, and that's representative of the changes that happened all across the country. I think NPM can have a role and can have a voice in this. We need to first encourage encourage individuals to sing again, because there has to be a desire that as we are able to take off our masks and sing, that we do so, and that we really embrace every aspect of the liturgy, including music. We also need to encourage for people to actually come back to Mass, because without the pews filled, that drives the need for music ministry. But we also need to work on making a compelling case for how our ministers of music enhance the liturgy. I mean, that is our mission, that we foster the art of the sung liturgy. We can't do that without our musicians.
We have another question coming in from Dolly, and she says, "Hi, Jennifer. Can you explain forums and why we need members to join?"
Dolly, that's an excellent question. So as NPM moves into the future, we want to make sure that we are a member-led organization. And the forums actually give us the opportunity to do that very explicitly. So we have operational forums that include things like membership, finance and development, and then we have what we call ministerial forums, and those address things like our musical skills and cultural diversity is two examples from the two sides of the coin. And these are all currently being led by members. They all have a member chair who is volunteering his or her time to serve the organization. So thank you to our 8 forum chairs if you're listening. And thank you to all of those of you who have already signed up to serve on a particular forum. We need those gifts and talents because we have a small national staff. I call our staff small but mighty. But we can't do it alone. And we want our members to have not only that sense of ownership and pride in the organization, but we know how many talents our members have outside of their musical talents. So for example, if you are an accountant in your day job and you want to share those talents with NPM, we invite you to join the Finance and Development Forum. If you have planned national conventions or initiated other programming for another organization, send us a note and we'll do our best to find a space for you on the Programming and Certification Forum. It's those kinds of gifts and talents that we really want to use.
We have a question coming in from Christian. He said, how is the Cultural Diversity NPM Forum going to work?
So that is an excellent question. And what we are finding out about forums is that they all bleed into one another. So, cultural diversity is an excellent example of that. Certainly, you may be familiar with the prior interests sections that we had. And so there was one for our Asian Pacific community, there was one for our African American community, etc. And those now fall under the auspices of the Cultural Diversity Forum. However, in everything we do, there is always a consideration to cultural diversity. It has to be at the center of what we do to make sure that we're representing all of our members. When we look at programming and certification, that has to be a consideration to it. And so we're very lucky we have Lene Gray heading up our Cultural Diversity Forum, and she really understands that it's about informing the conversation wherever we are to make sure that our member voices are heard and represented.
And I do want to say too, if anyone is interested, especially Christian too, if you are interested in being a part of the action and progress that will be from the Cultural Diversity Forum or any of the other forums that we have, this is a really good time to reach out. And if you feel that, and if you feel the voice tugging you, it's probably time to reach out and see if you can be a part of it, because we'd love to have you be a part of it.
100%. And I would just like to add, I'm really lucky. I have the easiest email address in the world to remember. It is literally director@npm.org. So I like to say my inbox is always open. So please email me at any time if you have any ideas, questions, concerns. I'm here for our members.
So this is the last chance that you will have. If you have any other live questions for her, please feel free to put them in the chat box. And actually, you answered the last question I was going to ask was, if anyone is watching this on, a lot of people do watch the replay because they can't catch it during the day. How would they get in touch with you? And so email is going to be easiest. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. So currently our national office staff, we're only in the office 1 day a week, occasionally 2. So email, I'm always on my email, even when at home. So that's the easiest way to reach me.
Okay, great. As we wrap up and give people a chance to submit any last second questions that they can think of, I will ask you a question that I asked you on Ministry Monday, but I think it's a nice way to end this as well. 2 questions about yourself. Number 1, what's your favorite liturgical season and why?
My favorite liturgical season is Advent because I be very honest and tell you, I struggle to keep the stillness of Lent and that quietness, and the 3.5 to 4 weeks of Advent seems easier for me to do, and it's also more meaningful for me in some ways, because Christmas can be overwhelming in terms of the preparation, and that season of Advent really makes me be still and prepare for the birth of Christ.
And my last question is, what is your favorite sacred song, whether it's a hymn or anthem or solo?
Mm-hmm. My favorite song, favorite sacred song is the Panis Angelicus, because it was near and dear to my maternal grandparents, and it was my maternal grandmother who taught me piano.
That's sweet. Well, I'll think of you the next time I do Panis Angelicus. Well, have you ever sung it as a solo yourself?
Many years ago in college.
Okay. Okay. Good. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to answer all of our questions, and thank you in advance. I'm sure that people will be emailing you with follow-up questions, especially if you're watching the replay of the live stream. And if you're even live right now and you have follow-up residual questions, please feel free to email Jennifer. Her email address is director@npm.org, and then she'll be sure to get back with you.
I will.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I also want to do one last plug too. Starting next, so from now on, all of our Thursday Thoughts at 3 will be on our YouTube channel. This is a change from what we've done previously, but we finding that the community and the traffic of YouTube has been better for our Thursday Thoughts at 3 series. So make sure that you bookmark our YouTube channel while you're here watching this live stream, and make sure that you check back, because starting next week, we are going to have a 3-part series provided by Emily Strand, and it will be a 3-part Thursday Thoughts at 3 series called The Sacramental Power of Words. So just like last month when we had a 4-part series from Brother Mickey McGrath and friends, we're going to continue having series for Thursday Thoughts at 3, so we can have an idea and carry it through for a couple of weeks. So please join us next Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, for part 1 of 3 of The Sacramental Power of Words provided by Emily Strand. And that's all I have today. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you, Jennifer, for your time so much.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you to all of our members and friends who are listening right now or who will be listening later.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Take care, and we will see you soon.